Welcome back. All right, so some news of the day for the last day of November. So far today here, it's not that bad rain-wise. We're supposed to get a major storm. I haven't had any warnings yet. Normally the phone's going nuts with warnings when there's a really bad storm coming in. So far, so good. But the NHL's worried about a storm of its own, and we'll get to that. Yesterday was announced Brad Marchand suspended 3 games. I think that's fair. And of course, immediately everybody jumps in. What about, what about, what about, what about? Which leaves you thinking, okay, so every single incident people think should be suspendable. Cool. Again, with Marchand, he does have a track record for being in front of player safety. And so I'm okay with it. And I say that as a Bruins fan. It's dangerous play. And he returns against the Canucks. So he's suspended for 3 games, and then he returns in a game against Vancouver. Yeah. And then, of course, there'll be people saying, well, then they'll challenge him to a fight. I don't know which member of the Canucks currently might challenge Marchand to a fight. Maybe Myers. This is a team that they don't really have that physical player, right? They don't have a Milan Lucic. There isn't one there. So, Marchand will be back against Vancouver. We'll see how that goes, and I'll be there in person for that one. Jake Debrusk wants a trade. He wants a trade out of Boston and has had to, get rid of his social media because of harassment. And that brings up the whole discussion of, so do fans cross the line? Absolutely, fans cross the line. Is it Boston fans that are the worst? No. And I say that not because Boston fans can't be the worst, but because it really depends on the situation and the fan base. I remember times watching hockey where I thought Philadelphia was most toxic, where Chicago's been most toxic, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, definitely, Boston, yep. And it just, the list can go on and on. You can find a reason why almost any fan base or any location, you could say, wow, that's pretty toxic. And then you get into, Florida or Arizona where maybe they don't have that amount of pressure or public scrutiny. I think for Debrusk, I think he's a good top 6 forward when he's confident and he's playing the way that he can. I don't think he's as useful in a bottom 6 role. And I think he's shown that he gets kind of down on himself pretty quick. And it can spiral out of control pretty quick. He's still a good goal scorer. He's still a young player. I think they'll be interested in him, but it just doesn't work. And it feels like the schism is between him and Bruce Cassidy. It's not a good relationship. Cassidy himself has been placed into protocol. This is while the AHL has shut down Providence. So how this works? We've got Providence shut down and apparently Hartford shut down. So the Rangers, that's their affiliate. Bruins, that's their affiliate. You can't call people up if the team's shut down. So this is where things get kind of dicey. And so for the Bruins right now, they have to be crossing their fingers that things don't get worse because we don't have the taxi squad this year. When we had the taxi squad, there was that insulation from AHL situations that might come up, and you had control over those players and what they were doing. And this year, that control has been lessened a lot. But we'll talk about that in a moment too. So the Minnesota Wild will be retiring Mikko Koivu's number 9 on March 13th. That has to be one of the first numbers they've retired, if not the first. I'm trying to think. It's got to be one of the first. I'm going to say one of the first because I don't think they've retired another number, but it's possible. Anyways, Gabrick's number will get retired at some point too, would be my guess. Maybe they retire 10. Maybe they don't. We'll see. But yeah, so Koivu's number being retired, it's nice for him. March 13th, mark it on your calendar, all that other wonderful stuff. So the NHL is concerned. The protocols the numbers are going up. And we're at that time of year. But what we're seeing, I think, is the NHL last year had really strict protocols, and you were playing within your division, and that's it. And of course, the previous season was finished by playing in a bubble, right? Last season, we saw a lot of teams get shut down, even though they had really strict protocols. This year, the protocols are a lot less strict, unless you're an unvaccinated player. So, for those who are vaccinated, it is basically a regular, normal season, and they've been partying, they've been all hanging out together, and it has been a much more casual environment. So, that's why we're still seeing situations where, like Ottawa, Islanders, these guys, it's not the same kind of strict protocols as last season. So comparing this year to last year, it really is apples to oranges. So the NHL is tightening up the protocols because the numbers are going in the wrong direction. And NHL players have gone from, well, we should be all right to go to the Olympics, to thinking, yeah, maybe we're not going to the Olympics. There's that 3-week break there that may not end up being a 3-week break. I really don't think they're going to end up going. And while there may be other reasons why people would say, well, they shouldn't be going over, and there are various reasons, the reality is I don't think it's going to work. The NHL wants to have an 82-game schedule. I would say they need an 82-game schedule. They want to get the whole escrow thing dealt with. They don't want to be dealing with a situation where they're losing more and more and more money. And so they need to have that 82-game schedule and the full playoffs. But yeah, the numbers are going in the wrong direction. The AHL, again, I've read that Hartford, Providence shut down, and things are kind of getting out of control at the AHL level, which I wondered about, again, because, and I mentioned this in the AHL video yesterday, these guys don't have the budget of an NHL team. An NHL team, they have a higher budget. It's easier for them to maybe get them all really nice hotel rooms and, kind of have them all separated out. The AHL, I would think that would be more difficult, right? So we'll see if maybe the NHL brings back the taxi squad, if something changes around the protocols outside of just around holiday time. So basically holiday parties, nope. And again, this shows they've been able to do all of this stuff so far this year. And this is part of the issue that they're having. And of course, there are going to be players who are just completely ignoring said protocols and just doing whatever. So whatever few protocols they may have, there are going to be players in a league as big as the NHL who are just completely saying, it doesn't matter, it's fine. And of course, the big thing with this is that if the numbers go in the wrong direction far enough, they have to shut the league down. And that is the absolute worst case scenario. And then we'd be back where we were in March of 2020. Not as bad, right? So it wouldn't be, we'd be shut down forever, but there's the possibility that the league could shut down for a couple of weeks. And that would be, again, bad. And NHL players are also getting concerned because if they go over to Beijing and there's a positive test, you are quarantined for 3 weeks. So while there are some who think that the current protocols are too much and it's just let it go, just let it go, just let it go. And I understand, and I think the NHL on some level has kind of said, you know what, we're just, if there's 3 or 4 players here and 3 or 4 players here, it's fine. But it's just that now we're getting into double digits on teams, and it's too much for them to just say, well, we'll treat it like it's an injured list. And I think that's kind of how they figured they'd go through it this year. But yeah, the numbers are definitely going in the wrong direction. And if a player's going to test, let's say that we're 2 weeks into the Olympics, and then a couple of players on Team Canada, they have a positive test. Well, now they're quarantined for 3 weeks. They could miss 2 weeks back in the NHL. And not only that, it's going to be more than that, because then they got to come back over. They have to get back in playing shape. It could, potentially, if it's the right player on the right team, it could affect the outcome of who finishes where in the playoffs. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, how far this goes with the AHL. We've also got an OHL team that got shut down in the Sudbury Wolves. They've suspended activities. Junior level, it's even more of a situation where they don't have the kind of controls that you'd have in the NHL. So, and then you've got Bozak entering protocols today for St. Louis. They're going to be doing all of their press conferences virtually, like through Zoom. From now on, Edmonton season protocol, they shut down their practice today out of abundance of caution, all that other wonderful stuff. And yeah, so the NHL is looking at this and saying, either we turn this around or we're going to end up back where we were in March of 2020. So, I've got my fingers crossed on that one. We'll see what happens. On the positive front, I wanted to end on a positive note. The New Jersey Devils, Jack Hughes returns to action tonight. So Jack Hughes will be back and playing, and we'll see what that does for the New Jersey Devils. Sometimes a team will get kind of lazy when a bigger star player comes back. You might see disruptions in other parts of the lineup. We'll see how it affects New Jersey. All right, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.